Good afternoon and welcome to Integrated Care Northamptonshire's Virtual Wellbeing Festival 2022. This afternoon's session, A Kind Life. Kinder healthcare is safer healthcare. Our keynote speaker has worked with more than 50 healthcare organisations creating kinder cultures. During this session, he will share what he has learnt, including the most compelling evidence and practical tools so that you can get started to reap those benefits of kindness in your work. My name is Robert Friend and I'm joined by my colleague Dawn, who will be managing the chat box, as well as other colleagues who are working behind the scene to make sure of a smooth running session. Can I ask that you mute your microphones to minimise any background noises that maybe in the background. You can keep your cameras on if you wish. The session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Virtual Wellbeing Festival website. And this is so that colleagues who haven't been able to join us today can watch on demand. This will also give you the opportunity to watch back and share with colleagues. If you do have any questions throughout the session, please use the raise the hand function, or alternatively, you can post your questions in the chat box and we will ask these questions on your behalf. If anyone on the call has any hearing difficulties, you can turn on the live captions by clicking on the three dots at the top of your screen and click turn on live captions. So I'm really delighted to introduce our keynote speaker, Tim Keogh. So at this point, I am going to stop sharing my slides and invite Tim to join us on the screen.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks for that fabulous introduction, Robert. And thanks to everybody for being here. So yeah, kindness. That's what this is all about. I'm going to do a brief introduction. I'm going to talk about why kindness, how kindness, some of the opposites to kindness too, and the impacts of all of that. Really get stuck in with some practical tools and actually a bit of interaction as well and some learning as we go. So this is me. Hello, I'm Tim Keogh. It is fabulous to meet you today. Thanks for having us. We are A Kind Life, and our mission is simply to spread kindness in healthcare, because the evidence shows, and you can see some of it here, and we're going to introduce quite a lot of this during this this next hour together. When we choose to be kinder to each other, to our colleagues, when we choose to be kinder to patients, clients, communities, the people we serve, when we choose to be kinder to ourselves, and when our organizations enable this, support this to happen, amazing things happen. Care is safer, outcomes are better. When you thrive at work, people thrive in your care. And we've had the pleasure actually of working with more than 50 healthcare organizations, not just organizations, but healthcare organizations over the past 10 years, helping to create kinder culture from the NHS to New York and to New Zealand. And it's a pleasure to be talking all things kindness with you here today. Now, here's how we're going to interact in this workshop, okay? And I wonder if you might just, Dawn, pop the voting. There we are. It's popped into the chat as well. We're going to use a website called menti.com. I know you've maybe been using Slido for the rest of the day, but we're going to use menti.com. We're going to practice using it now. And all you need to do is open up this webpage, www.menti.com, and there's three ways to get there. First, you can click on the link in the Teams chat. It will take you straight to the first question. Secondly, you can type www.menti.com into your browser and enter the code that you can see on the screen. Thirdly, you could scan the barcode with your smartphone. It'll take you right to the page as well. And the first question I'm going to ask you to do is just register to show that you're here. And what we'll do is we will give you, as a result of that, your CPD certificate, because this session is CPD certified, and I'm going to give you access to a free kindness e-learning that we put together, which is based on kindness masterclasses that we ran for NHS England and Improvement over the last 6 months, everything that we know about kindness. So in healthcare. So head to menti.com, register yourself. And actually the first question is really simple. Just enter your name and your email address. So we know you're here. You need to click the GDPR statement so that we can actually send you this stuff. And we'll send you the free learning course tomorrow, and we'll send you your and we'll send you your CPD certificate as well. How about that? So I can see I've got 8 people registered so far. So I'm going to leave that for 15 seconds more. Menti.com. There's the code. Or click on the link in the chat or scan the QR code, register. We know you're here and we all get going. All right. So that is what we're doing today. Now, I actually got another question for you. So think about this. I'm going to keep menti.com open, please, because we're going to use it through the session. All right. I got this question for you. When we have a consistently kinder culture in our teams and our organizations across the system, what's that going to get for us? What are the benefits of a kinder culture? So I'm going to head back to menti.com now. Okay, and I'm going to move on from this CPD submission question and ask you another question. What will it get for us when we've got a consistently kinder culture? Give us 3 benefits of that kind of culture. So, sit here just whilst you're doing that. Have a think about it. What's it reading? What's it going to get for you? What's it going to get for your teams? What's it going to get for the organization? What's it going to get for patients and communities, clients, service users? What are the benefits of having a consistently kinder culture? Have a think about that and submit that onto menti.com. There's the question. When we've got it. So why are we here? What's the point? Why bother with all of this? You know, people think kindness is all soft and fluffy, right? You've chosen to be here. You clearly see some benefits. What are they? There we go. So it's all starting to appear now. What are those benefits? The benefits you've shared. For us as our people, happier staff, more satisfied, better understanding between people, more positivity. That's going to lead to a more effective work. It's going to lead to better teamwork. It's going to lead to better staff morale. That's going to lead to better productivity. That's going to lead to better care, better outcomes, more effective work, and all that's going to lead to less burnout, better staff morale, and that's going to lead to better retention and attracting better staff as well. So it becomes a virtuous cycle. Wow, and that's just 9 people contributing. So people like to think kindness is a bit soft and fluffy, right? And I think we've shown here is anything but. Are those the kind of benefits you would like? Yeah? Better for us, better for teams and productivity, better for outcomes, better for patients, better for our organization, better for our communities. Are they the benefits you would like? Yeah. So should we stay and do this? Is it worth leaning in for the next 50 minutes and having this conversation about kindness? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. I need some positive feedback here right now. I'm looking at the chat and give us a thumbs up. All right, because do you know what? It's 5 o'clock. We could all be off doing something else, couldn't we? It's worth spending this time. Kindness is so important in providing higher quality care. I think we can agree kindness is about so much more than just being nice, right? So I'm just going to back up that with some data. Evidence shows, and we're going to explore today, how a kinder staff experience contributes to improved working relationships. And I'll talk a bit later about the impact of kindness on trust and the impact of teamwork on patient outcomes. And it contributes to improved psychological safety, which we know is vital, especially in making it safer to speak up and resolve issues and learn from mistakes. And that's one of the things you're going to learn in the e-learning we're going to send you later. Kinder organizations are more attractive to talent. And all of that reduces sickness absence, means fewer mistakes and a safer organization with less stress and less burnout. So those things that you said, you're right. And the evidence backs you up. Kindness is an engine to improve people's well-being and engagement at work. And when people are more engaged in the NHS, guess what? Patient care improves too. Because it's not just about our people, it's about patients as well. Evidence shows that a kinder patient experience contributes to better patient outcomes. Studies show people are more involved in their care. It's safer. They're more likely to point out adverse effects because they feel to be listened to. It promotes patients' physical and psychological well-being. And do you know what? This is actually where we can get really specific about kindness, which is not just about being nice. A study of patient complaints showed there's only one factor that determines if the patient would make a complaint or not. And that was the clinician's tone of voice. Just the tone of voice. Everything else is random. So these are all the benefits, so many. I think we can agree. Let's stay and do this stuff. Kindness, people talk about random acts of kindness, right? And I think what we're starting to see here, we'll explore in this workshop, is kindness is in fact anything but random. Anything but random. Would you agree? Yeah? So let me just pause to ask you this question, okay? Let me just pause to ask you this question. How are you? No, really, how are you? Just take a moment to think about this in your head. Explore your own answer to that question quietly and honestly. How are you right now? I mean, if you're fine, that's fine. If you're great, that's great too. You know, you're allowed to feel good about yourself and the things around you. But if there's something else going on, that's all right as well. Just let it. Because you know, one of the kindest things we can do is to be interested in other people, in their work, in their world. And an easy way to do that is just to ask this question: how are you? But really, how are you? Get beyond the fine into how actually are you, and give them a couple of minutes to unpack it. And the key here is to really listen. Not listen to interrupt, but listening to hear, listening with empathy. Evidence shows that by listening, you actually encourage people to get a deeper understanding of the situation. They're more likely to come up with their own solutions. And you know what? You may have in the past engaged with someone who we might call a distracted listener, someone who's not really listening, just waiting a moment to interrupt. Do you know what? Those kinds of distracted listeners leave the speaker feeling more anxious, less self-aware, actually more confused and not so clear about their own attitudes on the topic. But when you ask, how are you, and choose to listen carefully and with empathy, evidence shows you'll leave the speaker feeling more relaxed, more self-aware. They'll see their own weaknesses as well as their strengths with a more rounded view of the situation, what they call attitude complexity. What's most important here? More likely to be able to discover new insights about themselves and find solutions for themselves. So I invite you to go out from this workshop and ask people, how are you? And listen with empathy and quietly. And actually, do you know what? When I shared my screen, I forgot to share sound. Okay, so I just need to unshare the screen and then reshare it with sound because I'm about to show you a video. All right, there we go. Here comes the sound. This is me just not making this up as I'm going along, I promise. So we're going to listen with empathy. And do you know what? The leadership writer, Brené Brown, had something really interesting to say about empathy. And Teams isn't great with video, but you should hear it. And the video and the audio should catch up at some point. Here we go.
And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least."
I love that line. She's going to count. Hold on a minute.
And to me, I always think of
enough. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." You ask someone, how are you? You know, this, that, and the other, and you go, well, at least this. You think you're making it better by minimizing the thing, by finding out, but you're not. You're just not hearing them. You're just not hearing them. So when you ask people, how are you? Listen with empathy. Just hear. Don't try and find solutions. Don't fix. Don't minimize. Don't even compare. Just listen. And this empathetic listening does something else too. It increases people's sense of belonging. Yeah. And when people feel like they belong at work, they're more productive, they're more engaged, they're more motivated. According to a big study by the consulting firm EY, they are 3.5 times more likely to contribute to their fullest potential. And you know what? The key driver of belonging at work, when colleagues check in with us professionally and personally, asking and hearing what's important to people, not making assumptions. And you can give them all of those things just by asking, how are you? And listen, kindness is not random. Kindness is really, really intentional. And the first thing we do is we check in with people. It builds empathy and belonging. That's what kindness is all about. Now let's move through here. So I'm curious about, if people were being kinder to us, we might have more good days at work, right? So I'm curious about what makes a good day at work for you. So we can think about how we might have more of them, right? So we invite you to conjure up in mind a picture of the last time or important time, a recent time for you when you were actually having a really great day at work. Or maybe a good bit of a day. We've all had one of those, haven't you? Go back. Now, I don't want a vague generalization. I'm going to ask you to go back and remember a specific one-time memory when you were having a good day at work or a good bit of a day. And if only people were like this more often, if only things were set up like this more often, if only you felt like this more often, goodness me, you could come in every day with a spring in your step and do that amazing work you aspire to, right? Remember that good day at work. And I'm asking you to start to remember it now, really richly remember it. You can start to see it in your mind's eye, right? Can't you now, this memory? Imagine it as a movie. Where were you? Who was there with you? You can see now. What are they saying? You can hear. What tone of voice are they using? How is it unfolding? And what's happening as you can see it now, that good day you were having? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to look for the trigger that caused you a good day, the little thing that made a big difference, didn't it, actually? So take that movie, those pictures you can see in your mind, and just start to rewind that to before, to earlier in the day when things were just fine, maybe even before you came into work. Then run that movie forwards quickly at first, not faster, then slower and slower to the point there was a moment when someone said something, something happened, your mood changed, right? The day brightened up, and that was the trigger for your good day. So just start to think about your good day. What happened? What was the trigger? How did you feel? And what we're going to do is I'm going to pop into menti.com again, and I'm going to give you a vote. Okay. So these are the themes that we hear most often. All right. Well, I've actually asked this question of more than 35,000 healthcare staff and about 5,000 more people who work in universities. These are the themes we hear most often. So we're going to play a game of Snap. So go back to Mentimeter to let us know, let each other know what makes a good day for you. You can choose the two most important for you. Okay. And maybe it's a tiny thing that made a big difference. Let's have a look. Let's see those votes coming through. Here we go. Going to be interesting. Sometimes I run these workshops with 250 people and you see these dots are flying all over the place, but the same themes typically come through. So head back to Mentimeter. You can see menti.com and the code up there. Already 6 people voted. Already we're starting to see some interesting stuff here. Now you might expect people's good days at work to be all about time and being fully staffed, but you can see here, actually they're not. And I think that's the first thing. That's really, really interesting. Look at this. Just for you guys, this is not some dusty old study. This is you in real time telling each other, if I'm going to have more good days at work, could you notice me, please, and see me and say thank you, appreciate me for who I am, for what I bring, and for the specific little things I do? Could you do that? People with a positive can-do attitude, learning something new, helping a patient or helping a colleague makes a big difference, right? Makes a big difference. Really, really interesting. And little acts of kindness, they're important. But kindness is so much more than that. Look at this. Can you see yourself in here? Maybe. Maybe it could be you that makes other good days for other people just by choosing to do these things, just by choosing to appreciate them, to help them to learn something new, to bring a positive attitude and make such a difference. It could be all of us that makes good days for each other, couldn't it? And actually, in case you were wondering whether this is representative, over the past year, we've worked with 7 NHS trusts, and I've met with more than 5,000 people, and we've asked them the same question. And here's what they said, okay? It's similar to what you said, actually. It's a few little differences, but there are similar themes. If being kind is doing things that work for other people, that make good days for other people, then being kind in the NHS means being noticed, noticing and appreciating them, being a kind, supportive teammate, and coming to work with a positive attitude. That's what a good day at work looks like across England in the NHS. That's what kindness looks like. So let's just touch on some of those themes first. Okay, so the number one driver of good days for you right here, right now, and across the NHS is appreciation. Would you like these amazing things to happen with the people around you at work? Would you like them to be motivated, to be really engaged? Would you like them to still be working here, to not be looking for another job, remain part of the team? Yeah? Well, maybe most of them. So this study showed 67% of employees are motivated by praise. That's more than are motivated by a cash bonus. There's 14% better employee engagement in appreciative organisations. You want to move your staff, friends and family test, here's how to do it. And a whopping 80% of people who feel appreciated are not actively looking for another job. So appreciation is the number one driver of having the best day at work people can remember, when you can do the amazing work you aspire to. It's as simple as that. Someone seeing and noticing your efforts and saying thank you. How much does it cost? Nothing, right? How long does it take? Actually, in one big session I was running with NHS teams, this guy kind of folded his arms, thought about it, he put his hand up and he went, 16 years. Let's not leave it that long, hey? It only takes a moment. But genuine appreciation is not swanning into the room and going, oh, you're fabulous, keep up the hard work, thanks for today. That's vague, patronizing rubbish. Genuine appreciation means seeing and noticing the specific little things people do and appreciating those. And you know what happens when you appreciate something specific someone has done? It means you notice them. So it makes it authentic, right? It lifts their mood. It builds confidence. And it means they're more likely to do it again, which is why appreciation is also the number one driver of performance and behavior change that you've got at your disposal at work and at home as well. When you know what you want to see and you appreciate it, people will do more of it. You'll see more of it. But actually, I'll counsel you one thing. Be careful what you appreciate because you will get more of it. Think about that for a moment. It's true. So I'm introducing for you guys here now a structured approach called the ABC of appreciation that we developed here at A Kind Life. The A stands for action. Describe the specific thing the person said or did. Get past generalizations to the facts of what you observed. The B stands for benefit, the positive impact it had on you, someone else, the patient, the project, the world. Let them know. Now we know, because you just told us, good days are caused for some people by making a difference. But often we don't realize the difference we're making, do we? So tell them. This creates motivation. And the C stands for continue. This is the reinforcement. Thanks. Keep it up. Do it again. So ABC of appreciation. Now you might want to take out your smartphone, okay, and take a photo of this now. All right. So just take out your smartphone, take a picture of this because you're going to want to remember this. Okay. It's probably the most powerful communication tool to build better relationships at work and at home, to improve performance at work and at home that you will ever have. So I'm going to take a sip of my herbal tea and I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to take a picture of the ABC, a couple of moments. Take a picture of the ABC of appreciation. Great. So are we done? Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Right. Now, there we are. That's the ABC of appreciation. So more kindness means checking in, and it means appreciation. It builds confidence. It builds repetition. So our checklist is growing. Now, people love working with positive people. It's always in the top few of what makes a good day at work in the NHS. It was top 2 for you, but have you ever worked with the opposite? Have you ever worked with someone who has all the attributes of what I call a mood hoover? Yeah, oh, this is useless. That's never going to work. What are you smiling for? Don't get me started. It's infectious too, isn't it? The impact's so powerful. It brings everybody down. Have you ever been like that yourself sometimes? I know I have. On the other hand, have you chosen sometimes to be what I call the mood fan or the mood heater? I bet you have, as a professional, choosing to come in and set the tone, to smile, say good morning, some professional enthusiasm. What difference does that make? It lifts the mood. It's a fun team to work in. The day breezes by. But you actually find you're more productive when you've got a positive attitude in the team. And you have better ideas. Well, you are, and you do, okay? So you remember when you remembered your good day at work, you're actually practicing a very powerful psychological skill. I asked you to use all of your senses to remember your good day, to see it in your mind's eye, hear what was being said, to feel it, relive it. And you know, your span of awareness is very narrow. Your brain can only hold a very small amount of information at any one time. If information were juggling balls, we'd only be able to kind of keep about 7 in the air at any one time. And by using all of your senses to recall your memory, you filled your head with it completely. And if your head is filled with a positive thought, your emotional state will follow how you feel, which is quite useful to know. It's true, negative thoughts as well. And neuroscience shows that your positive thought will have changed what's going on in your brain. Okay, so just choosing to think a positive thought, a memory about home or at work, what it does is, if we did a neuroscience experiment, we would see the bits of your brain about creativity and problem solving being switched on. Your positive thought sends the blood there and switches them on. That's what actually happens, which is why all of what that thought does in your brain, a University of Warwick study showed when people are thinking positive thoughts at work, they're 23% more productive at completing tasks than people thinking negative thoughts, grumbling and moaning. That's 2 hours on an 8-hour shift. And sometimes there are problems at work, of course there are. But rather than just complaining consistently, you choose to come and say, all right, let's put that to one side. Let's take a positive attitude about how we can fix what's up to us. You do that? Because another study shows that people who are thinking positive thoughts come up with 25% more ideas when they're looking for solutions to problems. You're more creative, you're going to find better solutions. That's when we consistently start having more good days at work. And choosing a positive attitude is up to us. Nobody else has control over what's going on in your head than you. And it has a massive effect on your positive thoughts, and your negative thoughts have a massive effect on what's going on in your brain and therefore on your emotional state. So the third way we can be kind to each other is by bringing a positive attitude. It changes mood. It's contagious, as you know, and it improves productivity as well. Now, one of you mentioned teamwork. It's the second most important factor for driving good days in what we've heard across the NHS over the last year. 5,000 people we spoke to. So let's talk about what it takes to work in those kind of teams. Right. So this pretty diagram here is oxytocin. Okay, now oxytocin is a hormone and a neurotransmitter. It's called our social hormone because with high levels of oxytocin, we behave in more social ways. Studies show that when we experience kindness, it boosts our oxytocin levels. When someone chooses to be kinder to us, we got more oxytocin going around the system, right? That was relationships. It improves teamwork, but it does something else too. Oxytocin builds trust. And people in high trust organizations, when compared with low trust organizations, report more energy at work, more productivity, more engagement, and more satisfaction, fewer sick days, less stress, and less burnout. So, if they sound like the kind of things you want in your team, you can get some of that stuff just by choosing to be kinder to the people around you and encouraging them to be kind to each other. That's how this stuff works. And when you experience that kinder, more supportive teamwork, it helps patients too. So in 2013, Professor Michael West did a study across all NHS acute trusts. They looked at all the national staff survey results for each trust, and specifically the questions about team working, trust, supportiveness, clear direction, diversity. And for each team, each trust, they created a grand mean out of 100, which they called being in a real team. Then they ranked all of the trusts. Then they analysed that against a range of clinical data, and they found for just a 5% increase in people saying they work in a real team, there was a 3.3% reduction in mortality rates of patients, not colleagues. That's around 40 lives per year in the average district general hospital. Teamwork saves lives. If there were a drug that did this, we'd spend millions on it, right? Well, our drug is teamwork, and the mRNA, the delivery mechanism for the drug, is kindness, how we choose to behave with each other. By the way, 5% is just one person in 20 being like, I am out of this team, I'm fully on board. Who is that person in your team? Maybe now is the time to forget about all the things that are wrong with them and ask those two kindest questions. How are you? And what makes a good day at work for you? And bring them on board again. Because teamwork makes a good day for us, but it makes a great day for patients, as you can see here. Now, We've talked about the benefits of kindness on the recipient, but does it make any difference when you personally choose to be kind? What happens when you do all of these wonderful things that we've just spoken about? Take a moment to remember a time when you were being kind to someone else, when you went out of your way to thank them, support them, help that person in some way, or even a moment when you were consciously kind to yourself. And some very interesting things will have happened. Evidence shows you will have experienced a burst of the mood regulator serotonin, making you calmer and less stressed. The brain loves it when you're being kind, so it will have rewarded you with a spike of dopamine, our reward system, which sparks motivation and encourages optimism. Your kindness will also have stimulated the production of oxytocin, our social hormone we just talked about, help to build those trusting relationships that are so important. So what are the benefits to you when you choose to be kind? Let's look at some studies, some evidence. A group of people who consider themselves to be highly anxious were asked to perform 6 acts of kindness a week. After 4 weeks, just 24 kind acts, they reported significant increase in positive mood, relationship satisfaction, and a decrease in social avoidance behaviors. Another study showed people who are kind on a regular basis have 23% less cortisol, our stress hormone. A study of 70,000 people who showed regular self-compassion were more motivated and less lazy. And people aged 55 and older, that's some of us on this call, who volunteer for at least 2 organizations have a 44% lower likelihood of dying early, taking into account all other contributing factors. Kindness is good for others, but it's clearly good for us to choose to be kind too. It's going to make more good days for us. So, what does kindness look like? It looks like checking in, appreciation, bringing a positive attitude, and those little acts of kindness to build trust and to build well-being for all of us, all of us. Now, in our workshops with frontline staff, we ask people this question, right? And they're back into groups. I'm not going to linger here today, but you might want to lightly recall your bad day at work. And it might be the opposite of all those things that create the good days, perhaps. Maybe you felt undervalued. Maybe there were negative attitudes around you, or unkind, uncivil, or even bullying behavior, feeling disconnected from the team. That's certainly what we heard from the 5,000 NHS people in our workshops over the past year. Now, you might think, well, the bad days are all going to be about staffing or lack of time, and certainly that's important. 19% of votes for that. But there's actually fewer than a fifth. For almost a third of people, their bad days at work are caused by colleagues being unkind. And if you add to that unkindness the lack of teamwork, feeling undervalued, managers, discrimination, around 3/4 of bad days at work that make the most difference, that stop people from doing the amazing work they aspire to, are all about people, attitude, behavior, culture. And you can see that here in our analysis of people's textual descriptions of their bad days. Rudeness, shouting, aggression, unkind, uncivil, uncommunicative colleagues, mood hoovers, blaming, not acknowledging, distrust, discrimination. Now, this might be a little dispiriting, but actually the positive thing about this is, and I think you can agree this is positive, can't you, is that we can do something about this, can't we? Because it's all just the way we choose to behave. That's all it is. And we need to choose to behave differently, because this poor behavior harms patients. So let me give you an example from an area where quality is essential, okay? So 72 neonatal ICU clinicians were taking part in a training simulation. They thought it was an exercise in teamwork, but it wasn't. It was a blind study on the impact of rudeness on their quality of work. They were told an expert on teamwork would observe them and comment on how they were doing. Half the group were exposed to neutral comments, the other half to mildly unkind statements, not questioning their work, just an uncivil tone of voice. Just the tone of voice, just like with the patients we saw earlier. The results? The teams exposed to rudeness made significantly more errors of diagnosis and significantly more errors in the execution of clinical procedures than the teams exposed to neutral comments. They made loads more mistakes, and the only difference was the way they'd been spoken to. Now, you may know someone who talks to people like this, keeps them on their toes, but it doesn't. It harms them, it harms safety, and it harms patients. In another simulation study, this time with anaesthetists, they found the same thing. The teams with the rude surgeon made more mistakes, as you can see here, and this is dangerous. But something else really interesting happened here, because you may be going, yeah, I get that, but I notice, you know, and it doesn't make a difference to me. After the exercise, the participants were asked, did it affect your performance? Oh, the participants were asked, firstly, did you get the polite surgeon or the rude surgeon? And they knew, they all got that right. Then they were asked, did it affect your performance? And they went, no. Of course not. I'm a professional. It doesn't affect me. But it does. Rude behavior affects all of us. We all always make more mistakes. So we need to be able to speak up about this stuff, don't we, to resolve it together. But if you're safe to speak up, we need to know how to speak up. So I'm going to introduce to you here a new, kinder, safer way to speak up. It's called BUILD. It's a kind life method for more safely speaking up. Lots of trusts, tens of thousands of NHS professionals are using this as their way of talking it out without falling out, basically. It's called BUILD because it's about building solutions, building the relationship, building trust. Now, we don't have time to practice this today, but tomorrow we'll send you an email with a link to personal access to our course called The Foundations of Kinder Feedback. It's only 29 minutes. It's a vital skill. You're going to absolutely love it. So, kindness. We're talking here about checking in with empathy to build belonging. Checking in with empathy to build belonging. Talking about appreciation. The number one driver of having a good day at work builds confidence and behavior repetition. Bringing in a positive attitude. I was watching reading a study, and I'd like to say it was in the Harvard Business Review, but it wasn't. It was on Instagram, and just came up yesterday. And it was saying what they chose to do was in this particular organization, give themselves 5 minutes when something happened that they didn't like, and go, right, I'm going to rant and rave and throw things. Don't throw things, but rant and rave and have a go for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go, right, I can't change that. What can I change? And focus on what's up to us. That's the kind of positive attitude we're talking about. Smiling and saying good morning to people. Did you know, actually, just share with you something else for a moment. What do you think is the number one driver of longevity? The number one thing, change we can make that will enable us to live a longer life? Very interesting, this. So, there's a big meta study of this, looking at lots of other studies, and they found the top 5 things that drive longevity in human beings, changes you can make. I'll give you them in reverse order very quickly. I haven't got a slide on this, but I thought you might be interested. In 5th place is have your flu jab every year. Now, this was pre-COVID, but very interesting nevertheless. Have your flu jab every year. In 4th place, they said give up boozing. If not drinking, but drinking too much at the time. 3rd place, obviously, clearly, if you smoke, please try and stop. This is where it gets really interesting, because the top 5 don't include what you eat, what exercise you do, or the weight you carry. They're in the top 10, they're not the top 5. Second most important driver of longevity in human beings is have 3 or 4 really good friends. Another study showed this is the secret of lifelong happiness. But the number one driver of longevity is have lots of positive interactions with lots of different people every day. Lots of good mornings and how are yous and smiles and laughs and that kind of stuff. It's incredible. And it buffers stress too. People who have lots of positive social interactions every day feel less stress from the same stuff. So positive attitude, acts of kindness, little acts of kindness build trust and build well-being in you and in them, in both of us. And then be mindful of your impact on others. Be mindful of those little things you do. Remember, you're always on the receiving end of, somebody's always on the receiving end of you. And how might that come across when you're not thinking? Speak up when you need to as well. Take the course. So the phrase in the NHS right now that civility saves lives, and it's true. The evidence shows that incivility harms patient well-being, staff well-being, and patient safety. All right. But what we've seen here is we need more than just civility for staff and patients to really thrive. We need more than just the absence of a negative, because a whole range of different evidence shows you need the presence of kindness to boost teamwork, build staff engagement, and improve both staff and patient well-being. A couple of studies bring this to life. One focused on another simulation of neonatal ICU clinicians. It showed that when the simulation went horribly wrong, which is meant to, the team's given a positive, kind, appreciative briefing, their performance was statistically significantly better. Another study from the British Journal of Anaesthesia, again, the simulation goes wrong. If they were spoken to in a positive way by the senior person, I know you've got this, you're going to do great, it's all going to be fine. Again, their performance was significantly better. It's true civility saves lives, but it's only with kindness that we truly, truly thrive. So I'm going to head back to menti.com in a moment now. Given everything we've spoken about around here, right, someone's got to change their behavior. I mean, somebody needs to do something different. What's this guy saying in the top image where they've all got their hands up and looking so keen? Who wants change? That's us on this meeting, isn't it? What's he saying in the lower image where they're all looking around waiting for someone else to start first? Who wants to change? Do you recognize that attitude? Yeah. I'll respect him if he respects me. I'll listen to her if she listens to me. We'll be kind to them if they help us now and again. It was Gandhi, wasn't it, who said, be the change you want to see in the world. Neuroscience has caught Gandhi up, proven it to be right. You all know emotions are contagious, but neuroscience shows behaviors are contagious too. If you want someone to respect you, respect them first. If you want someone to listen to you, listen to them. Actually, when you get into build feedback, you realize this is one of the reasons it works so well. If you want someone to be kind to you, be kind to them first. See what happens. So we're going to head back into menti.com now. I'm going to ask you this question. I know other people have got to do some different things, you know, colleagues, leaders, the people around you, family members. But if there were, we've all got some agency, right? If there was something that were up to you, that you could do to help yourself and others to have more good days at work, what might that be? What's up to you to change? Head back to menti.com and let us know the little things you might, do you know what, that might just make a difference. What could you do differently? There we go. Waiting for you to submit your thoughts here. What's up to you? This is the moment where I just want to check people are still online. There we go. Be more patient with people. Listen with empathy. Ask, how are you twice? Really, how are you? Wonderful. Some very little smile. Choose a smile. And you know, a smile is a clinical intervention. It really is, actually. Have you ever been happy in your entire life? Yeah? You've been happy? People used to think, didn't they, that emotions were like ephemeral. We make them up. But increasingly we see that emotions are real. We know which chemicals drive emotions. We know where they live in different parts of the brain. If you've ever been happy, it's because you have a chemical called endorphins going around your system. Okay? Endorphins are what make you feel happy. Now, what's interesting is when you smile, there's got to be with the eyes as well. Try it now. Proper smile with the eyes. It actually triggers the release of endorphins. You don't have to be happy to smile, but smiling will make you happier in the moment. Give it a go. It's really, really interesting. And then what's interesting about that is it's contagious. It spreads, doesn't it? When you smile at a patient, the patient will smile back. They see it even with the mask on because they see it in the eyes. And what you may not realize is endorphins are actually an opioid. They're a natural painkiller. It's endorphins and cortisol that regulate our pain threshold. So when you smile and smile at the patient, studies show when patients are smiling and happy, they feel less pain and their analgesic requirements are lower. And when patients are less anxious, their surgical wounds recover more quickly too. All because of this. That's why smile is a clinical intervention. We're going to remain calm, slow down, not rush, get to know people, talk to strangers, ask how are you, listen, be more patient, smile more, accept mistakes more, work through them, give time to speak, bring a positive attitude, be better rested yourself. Call to say hello and how are you? Really listen and smile. Compliment other people using the ABC of appreciation. And what an amazing difference you're going to make doing this. Now, you know what I'm going to ask now, right? Don't you? If you have some self-awareness, which you probably do, when we're back on menti.com again, and you be honest with yourself, which you probably can be, what perhaps could you yourself do less of or not at all? What could you maybe cut out or just notice and try and moderate a little bit to help yourself and other people to have fewer bad days at work? Because you see now it doesn't work for you and it doesn't work for other people. And now you're thinking about it, you're not quite sure you've been doing it all this time. Maybe you learned it at home as a child, in the playground. It's just become habit. What could you perhaps do less of or not at all yourself? become less distracted, focus on one thing at a time. By the way, you may have heard the phrase, women can multitask, but men can't. Half of that statement is true. It is true that men can't multitask, neither can women. Nobody can. But if you try and multitask, the brain can only do one thing at a time. As we've seen, our span of awareness is very low. What you're actually doing is rapidly switching between tasks. When you rapidly switch between tasks, that takes basically 30% more brain energy. So you become more distracted. You're more likely to take mistakes. It will take longer. So focus on one thing at a time. Don't do everything at once. Don't put off doing things. Do the important things. Don't talk too much. Listen. Don't moan. What else can we do less of? Let's hear from everyone. Remember, this is completely anonymous. Getting frustrated. And do you know what? As we're sharing this, do you know something else you can do? If you catch yourself doing this thing that you said you want to stop, it's okay. We're just fallible humans. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself some build feedback in the moment. The behavior. Oh, I'm moaning and I told Tim I wasn't going to. The impact, I can see it's bringing everybody down. Listen, what's happening here for me right now? Just unpack this a bit and do differently. What could I do differently to change things for the better? Yeah? Build works for us as self-reflection too. When you get this link tomorrow, you're really going to want to take that e-learning. And what a massive difference you're going to make just to yourselves and all the people around you just by doing these things. Going to be amazing, right? So now think for a moment about those bad days. Yeah, the opposite of the good days, the opposite of the belonging and the trust, and whether that's the unkind behaviors, unkind words, unfair criticism. You've probably experienced that negativity, even those negative behaviors you want to cut out, that negativity tends to hit us harder and stay with us longer, doesn't it? There's an evolutionary reason for this, okay? We are hardwired for safety. When we experience this negative behaviors, negative attitudes, negative moods, our survival mode called fight or flight kicks in. And fight or flight has evolved to overwhelm any other feelings or thoughts you may be having. If it was 100,000 years ago, you're walking through the jungle with a pal, yeah, and a saber-toothed tiger comes out, remember, you don't have to run faster than the tiger. You just have to run faster than the other person, right? Slowly, those of us who've reacted more to danger have survived. That's why we've evolved to the point where fight or flight negativity impacts us 3 times more than positivity. That's why unkind behaviors make mistakes more likely. But more importantly, this is why we have to work extra hard with our kindness to overcome that negativity. And my studies show that successful teams and relationships experience 5 times more appreciation than criticism, 5 times more kind behaviors than unkind behaviors, 5 times more positive words than negative words. There was actually a study of divorce that showed this as well. 5 times more appreciation, 5 times more positive, 5 times more kind behaviors. We've got to work so hard to make this work. So I'm going to ask you one more question on menti.com. I'm going to ask you this question. Please share with us, I'm nearly come to the end here. Please share with us one positive word to describe how we're feeling right now, how you're feeling right now about what's possible given this conversation that we've had today. One word on Menti. As you share that, I'd like to thank you for being here. Thank you for being so open about what makes a good day at work for you, the behaviors you want to see and hear more of, for hearing each other, for sharing your views, for recognizing your role in making good days and bad days and in creating a kind of culture. Together, we can create that kind of more values-led culture you want to see and deliver those benefits that you shared at the beginning of the session. Keep it up. That's an ABC, by the way. So how are we feeling? Optimistic, hopeful, energized, enthused, educated, recharged. That is amazing. I'm so pleased that we're feeling like that. Now, and you know what? Just sharing those positive words is really, really important. Be mindful of the words you use. How are you? Not bad. 2 negative words. How are you? Pretty good today. 2 positive words. It gets the brain going. It makes you more enthused. It creates optimism just by using the words themselves. So, if you enjoyed today, there's more where this came from. As I said, I'm going to give you access to our course, The Foundations of Kind of Feedback. If you like that, get in touch with me. We've got other stuff that I can share with you just personally. Obviously, if you want to share it amongst, you're interested in how we might do some of this work across your organizations, please get in touch. I'll just put my email address in the chat for you. Any other questions that you've got, please feel free to do that. I'm tim@akind.life. And yeah, so we have to create systemically kind of cultures at pace and at scale. We work with thousands of people at once, trust by trust, system by system. We have solutions to embed those kind of cultures, how you recruit and appraise and manage and lead into your well-being. We've got solutions to respectfully resolve issues and bullying and harassment, proven to significantly reduce cases. But in the meantime, watch out for this course tomorrow. If you haven't registered, I'm just going to pop back into menti.com now. Here, I'm going to open up I'm going to open up menti.com as well. I'm just going to say, if people have been watching all the way through and they would like e-learning access as well, you're watching this on the video, just email me, tim@akind.life, and we will give you your certificate and we will give you your access to the e-learning. So just email me there if you've been watching this on video. We're very happy to do that as well, but you've had to watch through to the end to get the certificate, right? So I'm going to finish with these two thoughts. Just remember, you think it's all about you, right? But there was always somebody on the receiving end of you. Your positive behaviors, your negative behaviors, your positive body language, your negative body language, your positive words, your negative words, your critical feedback, your appreciative feedback. There's always someone on the receiving end of you. So please be kind to each other. But even more than that, be kind to yourself. Fill up your own well of well-being, because you can't give what you haven't got. So thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to stop my share now. It's been an absolute pleasure spending this afternoon with you. Where there is a little bit of time, we've got 5 minutes for questions and observations if you want. If you wanted to hop off early, and because I know it's the end of the day, then I imagine it's fine to do that as well. I'm not going to tell anyone. Brilliant. I've loved it, and I hope you have too, and hope to see you very soon. Thank you, Victoria. Really appreciate it. And thank you. I can't give you your first names because it was O Foster, B Brand. I love.
Want me to help you out, Tim?
Yes, please. All these people are saying
Yeah.
Thank you, Dawn.
You have got some wonderful messages in the chat box, and rightly so, because it's been a fantastic session. So Beth is asking, are we able to have a copy of the slides?
Yeah, I can share the slides with you as a PDF, but not for you, your personal use, but not to kind of continue to use. And then, so if it's for you, yeah, but then not for you to kind of pick up and then use in your development work across the organizations and stuff, because, you know, we work with organizations to do that, and I haven't trained you to do it. But certainly for you, I'm happy to send those slides out for you guys. Yeah, you've been here today.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Suze is loving the painting in the background, and she also has said that this has been an excellent session as well. Thank you.
Would you like to know about the painting? So the painting it's called Loving You So. It's by an artist called Yvonne Coomber. It's actually a real painting. I bought it. It's about 1.8 meters by 1.2 meters. Absolutely huge. This is a photo of it, but it lives in my office on the wall there. It fills my heart with joy. The reason I bought it was I have therapy once a week because I've struggled in the past with my mental health. And I've been having therapy the last couple of years. My therapist said, Tim, you're all about other people. You never do anything for yourself. This is why I finished with that bucket, fill up your own well of well-being thing. I challenge you over the next week to do something for yourself, a big gesture. And I'd had my eye on this painting for a long time. So I went and bought it. As a way of just reminding myself that I can look after myself. So that's what that painting is all about.
Fantastic.
Thank you for noticing.
Amazing. There we go. She's also saying it's been an excellent session. Beth is loving the ABC approach, and your energy, being kind and smiling is free. What a difference it makes. Such an important session. Can't wait to point even more colleagues towards it.
Right.
Very eye-opening and feel good. It was so enlightening. Thank you, Tim. Loved it. And Suze is saying, what a lovely story. Thanks for sharing about your picture.
You're welcome. I think we have to be open and vulnerable. We have to let people know what's going on for us, because something's going on for everybody, right? We look at people and go, oh, they've got it all sorted. But the reality is we're all on a journey. And you know, and I think we've got to get going with that. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
If anyone does want to come on and ask any questions, please feel free. But that's over to you. And if not, Robert, over to yourself.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Robert,
Thank
did you
you.
want to close?
Yeah, I'm going to close. I'll see if anyone does have any questions, they can come on as well, but we will just do the bit of the close now. Also, I just wanted to share some reflections as well, because I was thinking it was really important when you were saying about asking people, how are you? And I think that's a really important thing. And I think I am guilty of sometimes where I'll say, not too bad. In reality, maybe there is maybe something going on, and maybe it's like I said about being vulnerable and maybe being honest with ourselves as well. So I think that's really important. And you were saying about the positive interactions, and I think that they do go a really long way, because a smile costs nothing. And I think as well, it's that thing, is it treat people how you want to be treated, or you want your loved one to be treated. And I think that just asking that question, how would it be to interact with me? What would it feel like?
Yeah.
And I think they're really important take-home messages as well, and things that we can explore with our teams as well. So you know, thank you, Tim, for sharing all of that with us as well. And I think it'd be really useful that we've got the video and we can share that with colleagues and have further conversations as well as teams around that. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for inviting me, and thanks for all you guys for turning up so late in the day. Really, really appreciate it. It's wonderful to be with you. And yeah, get in touch if you want to. And in the meantime, wish you all the very, very best. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Tim. So just running through the last few bits that we've got a few slides. So if you have been affected by any information in any session across the Virtual Wellbeing Festival, support is available for you. As we say, it's okay not to be okay. And we ask that we check in with each other, with our colleagues, check in, see if we're okay. If we need any support, please contact any of the services that are shown on the screen. The contact details are there. Feedback is a gift, and we really do value the feedback, and there's lots of feedback going through the chat box already, but we'd actually like you to give some feedback specifically across this session or any of the sessions that you've attended across the Wellbeing Festival. By entering your feedback, you get entered into a free prize draw, and that's for a chance to win a 1-year subscription to Happy News. To give us the feedback, you can scan the QR code on the screen, or the link has just been added to the chat box as well. We also have lots of resources available to support your well-being, so you can visit the website to find these, again using the QR code or the link in the chat box. There's lots of challenges, additional information, and all the videos that you'll be able to watch from across the week. Obviously, this is the end of day 3. We still have 2 full days full of lots of activities, pre-recorded content and live sessions. So please do visit the website, have a look at the programme. There's something for everyone. If your colleagues haven't attended any sessions, encourage them to do so, share, watch back on demand as well. So really do make some noise around this and share them with your colleagues as well. We'd also like you all to get social, really sharing your reflections about the Virtual Wellbeing Festival across social media, so that could be through Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Please use the hashtag VWBF22, and let's see if we can make enough noise to get that trending across the social media. And finally, a massive thank you for Tim for spending this hour with us and talking through the importance of kindness. A massive thank you to everyone who's joined, and thank you for making a difference that you make every day supporting people within our county. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll look forward to seeing you on some future sessions.